Last Sunday wasn't the start Browns fans were hoping for.
A nice punch in the mouth, and that's how we should take it.
But hope springs eternal with the home opener tonight in prime time. It's the Browns against the cross-state rival Cincinnati Bengals and their hotshot young quarterback. We have one of those too. Tonight, it's your front row to the game and how it's all coming together. Woo! Gone are sights like these, but fans are still streaming into downtown to attend a live sporting event for the first time since the pandemic started. What they can expect to see and how fans without a ticket are making their own front row seat.
Mayfield stumbled. He throws into the corner of the end zone. Touchdown!
Plus, behind the scenes, how the voice of the Browns calls the games these days. The interviews and insights you can't get anywhere else. Your front row to the Browns starts with a special 1-hour edition right now. You're looking inside FirstEnergy Stadium, where the Browns take on the Bengals in primetime in just over an hour.
And outside the gates, they are open, and fans are now making their way inside, fewer than we're used to seeing. The Browns are hopeful it will offer some sort of home field advantage.
And the fan experience, no matter where you are, is different in this time of social distancing, but it doesn't put a damper on things for Cleveland's die-hard fans.
Well, thanks for being with us tonight for this special edition of Front Row. I'm Sarah Shookman, joined by Jake Crawford and Tiffany Tarpley tonight.
Very good to be with you, Sarah. Tiffany, you as well. Jimmy is down at the stadium. He, of course, is getting ready for tonight's radio call. We will hear from him throughout the next hour.
And, of course, we are here to give you the news you need and the stories you want ahead of kickoff.
So let's get things started with my partner, the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, from FirstEnergy Stadium.
Hi, everybody, from FirstEnergy Stadium, and it is great to be back here, and it's great to be back on Thursday Night Football. For the last couple of years, Thursday Night Football has treated the Browns pretty well. Remember 2 years ago, after that drought of a couple of years where the Browns only won one game, they finally won. They beat the New York Jets. The coming out party of Baker Mayfield, an electric night at the stadium. Some would say Baker Mayfield has never looked as good as he did on that night. That's for debate. And then last year, the Browns stayed in the playoff hunt when they knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they go for a three-peat in this one tonight. And it's only week 2, but it is a very, very important game for the Browns, because when the schedule came out and you saw that they opened up in Baltimore, everybody knew that was going to be a tough one to win. Now, nobody thought they'd lose by 32 points, but it was going to be a tough one to win, and they definitely didn't. So that meant that you looked at the next game, it's Cincinnati at home and Washington after that at home, and you have to be 2-1. Let's not put the cart before the horse. How do they get to 1 win? How do they win this game on this Thursday night? The Browns have to take it off the plate of Baker Mayfield and really take it off the plate of Odell Beckham Jr. Take that storyline away. Do what you do best. Run the football. The two big stars of this game need to be Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, the two forgotten stars from last Sunday in Baltimore. You ask offensive linemen, what do you like to do? We like to run block. So let's run block. Let's let it run here in this game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And the other key thing that will happen if they're able to do that is they keep their own defense off the field. Because, folks, right now the Browns defense is not suited to play. Too many key injuries. Grant Delpit, the safety, out. Mack Wilson, the linebacker, out. Greedy Williams, the cornerback, out. And if they can control the football and run the football and stay on the field, that will keep the defense over on the sideline. And that's going to be important, because the longer they were out on the field against Baltimore on Sunday, the more they were exposed. And I worry about Joe Burrow. He was very good late in his opening game in his NFL career Sunday against the Chargers. He can get in a rhythm. And if he's on the field against that Browns defense for too long, he will get into a rhythm. So, must-win time. Any other way, I'll tell you what, you can't slice it any differently. The Browns need this one. From FirstEnergy Stadium, Jim Donovan, Channel 3 Sports.
Thank you, Jimmy. Lots to look forward to tonight. We'll hear from you again a little later on. Take a look now live at the Muni lot. Normally, it is a packed house and pretty rowdy too, right? This looks pretty empty. Just a bunch of empty parking spaces. And Jay, for once, parking really shouldn't be a problem downtown for those few select fans that are headed into the game.
No, it shouldn't be. That, Sarah, is one bizarre shot. Absolutely crickets.
It's a strange scene.
It really is. Fan capacity tonight, not the normal 68,000, just 6,000 fans, COVID times. Mark Namick has the story of how this new way of doing things is taking shape at the stadium and what might lie ahead.
A stadium built to bring fans closer to the action and closer together. But a pandemic forcing the Browns organization to do an end run, testing a plan today to allow 6,000 fans into a stadium designed to hold more than 67,000. Browns executives speaking this week on the decision to invite them in.
We're excited to be hosting fans, even in limited numbers. There's such an important element to the game day experience and creating a home field advantage. We were in Baltimore this past weekend and no fans. You definitely feel not having fans there.
Browns owners Dee and Jimmy Haslam want more fans, up to 24% of stadium capacity. So they want to show they can safely seat the 6,000 fans approved by the state.
I think it's okay to say we were disappointed that it wasn't quite what we were looking for. Hopefully that continues to evolve and we do achieve a higher capacity beyond the first two games.
The plan requires fans to enter the stadium at one of 4 pre-assigned gates and arrive at a suggested time to limit congregating. They will have to sit in small sections among friends with between 1 and 10 seats, those not in use secured with zip ties. The upper level closed for now. As for the dog pound, you won't hear barking or see players swallowed by fans in the end zone. Fans will have limited access to parts of the stadium outside their designated areas. The stadium, now cashless, though new kiosks will allow fans to convert cash to prepaid cards. Seating in the club and dining areas are spread out, like everything else in the stadium, including even the urinals. Fans must wear masks and follow health orders, the team warning a prosecutor will be on site to help enforce the rules.
There are, of course, 2 other big parts of any home game, and that is the tailgating that Sarah mentioned earlier and the bar and restaurant seating, both curtailed because of COVID rules and a promise from the city to keep a tight lid on any big-time partying. As you can see now, it's feeling a little bit like a Browns game, some people showing up. I've been down here for a couple hours, and there really hasn't been that feel that you normally get during a Browns home game, but maybe on the field we'll feel that action. Jay?
Boy, Mark, that picture is just bizarre. 2 people walking in the background getting ready to go to tonight's game. Mark Namick, live from just outside the stadium. Mark, thanks.
Well, of course, the other side of this are the fans who are not going to the stadium. Andrew Horansky is keeping a close eye on how they are adapting, as well as businesses. And Andrew, you are live from the near west side.
Yes, that is correct. We are in Hingetown at the Jukebox. And, you know, it's interesting. I call it the bar crawl assignment tonight because the question really was, without all of those fans going into the stadium, would they perhaps be trickling into neighborhoods supporting bars and restaurants? So let's show you some video from this afternoon. Certainly not the kinds of crowds you may be used to on a Browns home opener. We were at West 6th Street, of course, as you remember, at 5 o'clock. We went over to East 9th Street at the Winking Lizard at 6 o'clock, and we saw a lot of social distancing. But the picture that I really wanted to give you tonight and why we made this our last one here in Hingetown at Jukebox Back Live is because this place has really embraced the true meaning of social distancing and the times that we are in. If you take a look at these tables, you can see hand sanitizer. You can see these special menus here, which allow you to use codes on your phone so that there's no exchange of money with people. And you may look here and you'll see that the TV sets are spaced apart, the tables are spaced apart. And those tables, by the way, aren't empty of their own accord. They're actually reservation only. So it just gives you a sense of how times are different and how people can still enjoy a Browns game, but do it in a very healthy way. Tiffany.
Yeah, and it's good to see that restaurants are still getting that business, especially on this game night. Thank you, Drew.
Well, there is other news to bring you up to speed on now, so let's put you in the front row with tonight's top stories. Here's 77 seconds at 7. Poverty in Cleveland has reached an alarming new level. The Detroit News reports a U.S. Census Bureau survey ranks Cleveland as the poorest large city in America. Mayor Frank Jackson responded to the report, calling poverty a, quote, ongoing situation, and pointed to institutionalized inequality as a driving factor. Mayor Jackson today also addressed the city-owned IX Center. Yesterday, the management group that runs the space announced it would close by the end of the year.
We will do our due diligence to find out what is the highest and best use that is of the greatest benefit to the city of Cleveland.
The IX Center Corporation says the pandemic's toll on the events business was the main reason for its decision. Portage County has reached red coronavirus alert level today. The state says the spike in cases is linked to off-campus housing around Kent State University. 1,067 new cases were reported today, just slightly below the 3-week average, and 25 more Ohioans have died. 47 days now until the election, and Saturday Night Live has settled on its all-star campaign cast. Alec Baldwin returns as President Trump, joined by Jim Carrey playing Joe Biden. The first presidential debate is 12 days away here in Cleveland. So Beck Bennett and Maya Rudolph are going to be back reprising their roles, as well as Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris, respectively. Jim Carrey, to me, you guys, this seems like a huge get, but I have always liked Jason Sudeikis doing that portrayal as well. What do you think?
I'm with you, Sarah. I love Jason Sudeikis. Just about anything he does, the guy just makes me laugh. But I am curious, and Tiffany, I want to get your thoughts. I'm curious to see exactly how Jim Carrey pulls off Joe Biden. It's going to be very interesting to see his approach.
I think it will be, I think it'll be good, honestly. But I think more importantly, I think we all need this comedic relief right now, right? So it's Saturday Night Live is a little too late for me. It's like past my bedtime, but I love watching the clips, on YouTube and online. So I'm excited to see all of it. I can't wait for it, actually.
It's going to be fun.
October 3rd, it is back, and we've got 5 straight weeks right up to Election Day. So politics will be a big talker. Thanks, guys. Next up tonight on Front Row, supply and demand. The incredible spike in prices for Browns tickets now that so few fans are allowed in. And later, a quarterback's perspective. Jay goes one-on-one with Tim Couch, who sheds light on why Baker and OBJ can't get on the same page. And Matt Standridge is in tonight. How's the evening shaping up for some football?
Hey, it's going to be a little chilly for the Bengals. In fact, we're about 10 degrees cooler here in Cleveland than in Cincinnati. Coming up, we're going to have your complete game night forecast. I want to show you what it looks like over the Rock Hall. We have all that coming up.
Front Row is sponsored by the Calvetta Brothers Floor Show. It's time to fall in love again with your home.
Download the Hooley House app and you'll have Hooley House right in the palm of your hand. 4 great locations to choose from: Brooklyn, Mentor, Westlake, and Montrose. 3 great ways to get your food: dine in, carry out, or home delivery. 2 great menus, food and drink. And 1 great app that makes it safer and easier to enjoy your Hooley House than ever before. At Hooley House, we have one goal: to make sure you can safely enjoy our fabulous menu every day. So come on in or go online to thehooley.com.
A look now inside First Energy Stadium, just over an hour away from kickoff now, as the Browns host the Bengals in a primetime home opener. Now, for those comfortable going inside the stadium tonight, the Browns are really the hottest ticket in town, the only ticket in town, Tiffany, and ticket sellers are well aware.
Yes, and so Danielle Serino is going to tell us who's getting these limited tickets, who's getting their hands on them, and then how much resellers are selling them for. Pretty crazy prices here.
Fumbles the ball, and the Ravens are going to get it.
They lose.
Baker Mayfield picked off for the second time.
And then they lose again. But for diehard Browns fans, this will be that next year they've been waiting for.
You saw it right there on my back. It's diehard loyal.
In fact, Ryan flew from South Carolina for the opener. Once he came from the Cayman Islands, and as a season ticket holder for 17 years, he was lucky he got in. Because of COVID, only about 6,000 seats were released in a stadium that holds about 68,000. In this letter from the Browns, season ticket holders learned they could only select tickets on a game-by-game basis, beginning with the longest tenured. So many got shut out. To go, they'd have to buy single tickets at more than double the price.
So I paid $5.25 for 3 of them. That was the face value of them. I saw tickets in the same section we're sitting, going for upwards of like $700.
Their other option, get a refund or credit to next year's season. although they'd get first dibs for the next game. But superfan Gus Angelone, who was also chosen, said even if he had to pay those prices, he was going.
I take the boys every game. I think they've been to every game since they've been born. It's just something that we do here in Cleveland.
Because of safety reasons, though, he can't sit in his old front row seats. Instead, he's in the dog pound.
No one's allowed to sit in the first 8 rows. They keep people away from the players.
Based on the number of tickets in the secondary market, it seems most season holders have kept theirs instead of selling, which has hurt ticket brokers even with the higher prices.
We usually sell 150 to 200 tickets on average, minimum, for the opener. Right now, we've probably sold 6 to 8 tickets so far. It's insane.
But even with fewer fans, those attending hope it won't feel like it.
I'm telling everybody, bring your A game, come loud, come proud, and we'll see what happens tonight.
Danielle Serino, 3 News.
Definitely some lucky fans who got the chance to get inside. And I don't know about you, Sarah. I know you're inside, but I'm telling you right now, it feels like pretty good football weather. I'm a little chilly, but it is good football weather.
Perfect for that touch of fall as we get into it. Good football weather for sure. And it looks like they might be in for a nice sunset as well, those ticket holders out at First Energy Stadium. Matt Standridge is back now with a look at the game day forecast and beyond, of course.
Hey guys, yeah, nice sunset. In fact, we have some of the haze kind of still left over. We still have some of that extra color out there. But it's a cool evening, but isn't that a requirement for football weather? A lot of us are going to be in the 60s throughout the evening hours. I want to show you specifically what's going to be at First Energy Stadium. Of course, kickoff at 8:20. Right around 8 o'clock, we'll be sitting right around 60 degrees, right next to the lake shore, then dropping about 62, is 60 closer to midnight. I think throughout the game, we should stick in those 60s. It may feel just a touch cooler thanks to that north wind coming right off the lake, 5 to 15 miles per hour. That north wind is our big weather story for the next couple of days. It's going to keep our highs in the 60s, our lows in the 40s, all the way probably going through the weekend, but it's also pushing out the haze over time. I think tomorrow's skies are going to be a lot bluer over northeast Ohio. Still have a few high lingering clouds towards our south, Millersburg, south of Canton, and then also towards the Mansfield area, getting a couple clouds, but those are pushing away from us as those north winds continue to dominate. We're in the low 60s and mid 60s kind of area wide, 63 in Worcester, 62 right now reporting in Mansfield. As we go throughout the evening hours, I think we're going to be dry. Now later tonight, there will be a chance for maybe a stray sprinkle trying to come off the lake, a lake effect shower. 1 or 2 could be possible, but as you're headed out the door tomorrow, I think most of the time we should be dry. Universal Windows Direct forecast shows that honestly the weather's kind of quiet the next couple of days. Yeah, we're cool this evening. Still some good football weather out there. The next several days though, we'll actually hop back on to a warming trend, getting back into the 70s next week, you guys.
Oh, that sunshine has sure been pleasant. Thank you, Matt. Well, from one Browns quarterback to another tonight, former top pick Tim Couch tells us if it's time to hit the panic button on Baker Mayfield.
Welcome back to our 1-hour special edition of Front Row as we get you ready for the Browns home opener tonight against the Cincinnati Bengals. And man, do we need a win. You just cannot afford to start 0-2. Pictures of fans trickling in now to First Energy Stadium as we're just under an hour away from kickoff.
And we're talking about a former #1 draft pick of the Browns. You got to think all the way back to 1999 here. We're talking to quarterback Tim Couch.
Sarah, he has plenty in common with current Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield, also a #1 draft pick. I talked with Tim earlier this week and started by asking just how unique it is for the players on this roster to be playing at all this season, given the global pandemic.
It's just a very different offseason for these guys and a very tough time to transition into having a new coach. And, and it showed out there on week 1. So it was, it was a tough opener, but hopefully they can bounce back against Cincinnati.
You know the drill here, Tim. Doesn't take a whole lot to get folks to be panicky.
Right.
Is it too early to panic?
Yeah, certainly. I think so. You know, the offense did not look good at all. You know, had trouble moving the ball, putting points on the board. But, you know, if you look at it, you're talking about, you know, Baker Mayfield on his, what is he, on his fourth head coach in 3 seasons. I mean, that's an impossible situation for any young quarterback, for any quarterback for that matter, to go through. You know, just about the time you learn a system and you start getting comfortable with it, they switch it all up on you and you start back over the next season. And, you know, especially, you know, like I mentioned earlier, with the way the offseason has been this year, it's even tougher to do that. And, you know, so I think it's way too early to panic. I still feel good about the guys. I have a ton of confidence in Baker Mayfield. I think he's a heck of a football player. You know, they just have to put the pieces together and build that chemistry and just get familiar with the offense.
So too early to panic off Baltimore, but what if things look very similar tonight?
Yeah, you know, then you start to worry a little bit more, obviously. You know, Cincinnati is a team that is, you know, is down right now. They're rebuilding. You know, they had the #1 pick in the draft last year, so they had a tough season. So they're obviously in rebuilding mode as well. So you would expect the Browns to come out and look a lot better tonight than they did against Baltimore. Baltimore is an established team. They have a head coach that's been there for a long time. They have an MVP quarterback who's playing at a very high level and a great defense. So this challenge tonight against the Bengals will be, you know, much, you know, should be a lot easier task than it was against Baltimore. Not saying it's going to be an easy win, but hopefully they can come out and look better and put some points on the board and show what they're capable of doing.
Year 3 for any young quarterback is huge. Baker's in that slot right now, and looking over his shoulder, or Baker looking over his shoulder, sees a guy like Case Keenum who knows what Stefanski wants to do on offense, and he's had success in this league. At what point does Baker Mayfield start to get a little uncomfortable with Case being there ready to come in and take the reins?
You know, I think that starts to enter your mind, you know, after, you know, a few bad games in a row. Certainly that'll come into play. You'll start, you know, feeling that pressure from the backup. You know, the fans will want to see the backup. You know, the coach may try to put a backup in just to kind of get a little spark in the offense and just kind of get things going. You know, but hopefully for Baker, he can come out and rebound this, you know, in this game against Cincinnati and you know, and play like the Baker Mayfield he did that he showed when he was a rookie. You know, making plays all over the field, being aggressive, throwing the ball down the field, getting rid of the ball quickly. You know, I think that was, you know, the big thing he did his rookie year is just getting rid of the ball and keeping it moving. So hopefully we can get back to seeing that Baker Mayfield, and I think we will.
For him to have success, he's got to develop chemistry with Odell Beckham Jr., and he clearly has not. How do you diagnose that? What's missing?
That's a tough one. You know, I scratched my head on that one, you know, week in and week out, because they're both such great players. You know, if it's just, you know, lack of reps because, you know, the way the offseason was, or, you know, whatever it is, you know, those two guys need to get it together, because obviously they're two of the, you know, main playmakers we have on the offensive side of the ball, and need them to be operating, you know, clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, Sarah, it's a real mystery. It really is, because we've seen what Odell Beckham Jr. can do. He had so many productive years with the New York Giants. We have seen Baker get into rhythm with other wide receivers. He's had particularly good chemistry with Jarvis Landry, but for whatever reason, it has not clicked with Odell Beckham Jr. And no matter who you talk to around the National Football League, to a man and a woman, they will tell you this Browns team in this carnation has absolutely no chance to succeed unless that is accomplished. Baker and Beckham getting on the same page.
Yeah, their talent on paper, obviously, but it's got to work in practice. And as Tim was saying, you know, maybe it's the reps. Let's hope tonight, maybe this is the start of something new, a new chapter where they are on the same page and there's a lot of connecting.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Next up tonight, how does he do it? We're talking about my partner, Jim Donovan, the major change in the radio booth for road games for our own Voice of the Browns. Jimmy takes us behind the scenes for a look. And we get a pep talk from Mike Polk, too, when our special 1-hour edition of Front Row rolls on after the break.
Here's what's coming up tonight on 3. Trust the experts at Stanek Windows. We make the process easy. No hassles, no middlemen. Just beautifully crafted quality windows built to last. Call us today. From the WKYC studios, this is Front Row.
And you are looking live off of Channel 3's back deck out to First Energy Stadium there. Welcome back to this special edition of Front Row. We're getting you set for the Browns' primetime home opener showdown with the Bengals. Sarah Shookman here alongside my partners for the evening, Jay Crawford and Tiffany Tarpley, and we're going to hear from Jimmy in just a little bit.
We certainly will, but first we need to turn to a Browns fan on our team that knows the pain of being a fan all too well, Mike Polk.
And tonight he decided that the team needs a bit of a pep talk before kickoff.
Well, Browns' tough loss on Sunday. Not great, but also not a huge surprise. As much as we all hate to say it, Baltimore's a great team, and most of us didn't actually expect you to win. Though admittedly, we were hoping you wouldn't lose quite so profoundly. You're the fourth youngest team in the league, and unlike us fans, many of you are experiencing Cleveland Browns football for the first time. And believe us, we know it can be daunting. But the most important thing to remember right now is to not allow a losing mentality to creep into your heads. Don't dwell on it. The Browns are not cursed, and you did not become cursed when you arrived here. That goes for you too, Coach Stefanski. Rocky start, but your first game does not define you. And we fans know what you were trying to do with that tricky Scottish hammer fake punt. We've seen it before. We've had about 30 head coaches here over the last 10 years, and many of them have attempted to shake things up out of the gate with some trickery to try and send an early message that these aren't your same old Browns. Stick to the basics right now. We have not yet earned the right to attempt trickery. Let's first exhibit relative competence before engaging in razzle-dazzle. Keep it simple today. Just stick with the running game and make sure our defense doesn't allow Joe Mixon to look like Barry Sanders, and we'll be fine. Paging 2018 Baker Mayfield. When you first got here, you had swagger. And I am not talking about the beloved late mascot dog who endured watching years of bad football before tragically passing last year. R.I.P. Swags. Baker, when you first arrived here, you played with arrogance and with a chip on your shoulder. That's who we need again. We need smack-talking, lewd gesturing, flag-planting Baker Mayfield tonight. So go out there and play like you're 6'1". Myles Garrett, it's time to unleash the beast. We all know what you're capable of, and this is the perfect game to begin your reign of dominance. You've got a rookie QB playing his second game ever, and the Bengals' offensive line is abysmal. Two of their starters are named Billy Price and Bobby Hart. They sound like 1980s WWF wrestlers. And I know you're always double teamed, but if you can't plow through a Billy and a Bobby and get at least 2 sacks today, that's a wasted opportunity. So this is it, fellas. It's almost game time. Now let's go out there, dominate these southern invaders, and send them back down to their backwoods holler in North Kentucky where they belong. Because only one of us can be the third best team in the AFC North. And I am cautiously optimistic that that just might be us. Swell the music. End of pep talk. Let's go Browns.
Jay, we got to get that over to the locker room right now.
We need to have that piped into First Energy Stadium on the big screen. Sarah, at some point, we'll go through this ritual again, and I'm not saying that Kevin Stefanski won't work, but we will at some point hire another head coach. That's what we do. I'm going to throw Mike Polk's name into the hat. He makes it sound so simple.
I think that's a good idea.
Why not, right?
Yeah, I like his thoughts on, keeping it simple and avoiding what I think he called razzle-dazzle.
Yeah.
I'm right there with him, Yeah, let's just get it done tonight, boys. Well, while you are watching the Browns and the Bengals this evening, don't forget to turn down the TV volume and up the volume on your radio. True fans know this already. That is where you can hear our own Jim Donovan, the voice of the Browns, calling tonight's game like all the others.
What you may not know is because of this coronavirus, there is a whole lot of new logistics that can go into a radio broadcast, especially when the Browns are on the road. Jimmy pulls back the curtain to give us a sneak peek of what it's like to call an NFL road game these days.
Mayfield stumbles. He throws into the corner of the end zone. Touchdown! David Njoku wide open in the left corner of the end zone.
The 2020 season still sounds the same if you're listening on your radio or computer.
Off the right side, and he will go in. Touchdown Ravens. And it's a runaway train here in Baltimore.
But it's a far different setup to bring you all the action. Because of the coronavirus, the Browns are only traveling players, coaches, and necessary staff. So when the Browns were on the road, my partner Doug Deacon and I are still here in Cleveland. We're at First Energy Stadium, calling the plays off a television monitor. I think we made history this past Sunday when the Browns were in Baltimore. Believe me, it's an experience I'll never forget. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in to the NFL season, 2020 style. I'm Jim Donovan. To get ready for this venture, I've been practicing calling old football games while watching them on television for the last couple of weeks. This reminds me of when I was a kid and said to my dad, I'd like to become a sportscaster. What do you think? He got me a tape recorder, and I'd go into the living room, turn the volume down, and call the action of the Red Sox, Bruins, and Celtics. For the home games, the games will look different with only 6,000 fans in the stands, but not much is going to change on the radio. Doug and I will be in our booth. Nathan Segura will be in the first row on the stadium, keeping tabs on the Browns. So Browns fans, thanks for being loyal and tuning in and listening. And we'll get through this season together, hopefully with more ups than downs. But I got to tell you, it's going to make for a great book. I'm Jim Donovan, Channel 3 Sports.
He's been practicing the last few weeks, but much longer than that, as you heard in that story. Thanks, Jimmy. And in that pregame uniform report on the radio tonight, spoiler, the team will be rocking orange pants as part of their uniform tonight. They posted these images late this afternoon, sharing them on social media, teasing what's to come. And fans have been calling for these pants for a long time. My husband's super excited, thinks that really sets them up right tonight. What do you guys think?
Listen, Sarah, I couldn't agree more. Fans have been screaming for this combo for so many years. When I look at that picture, the only thing I can think of is Brian Sipe and Greg Pruitt and Ozzie Newsome and those cardiac kid Cleveland Browns from the late 70s. And I wish we had a live camera on Doug Deacon's face when they come running onto the field in those uniforms, because he, of course, played in that combo of uniforms. I think it's exactly what we need.
And while the color pops, hopefully their performance will pop as well. Nice color, but let's do it right on the field tonight.
That's right, Tiffany, getting us back on track for sure. Well, next, keeping this season on the rails, what the Browns are doing to make sure coronavirus doesn't sideline the team. And a top pick with attitude, how the rise of Ohio's own Joe Burrow isn't so different from our own star quarterback.
And this is the Muni lot here. We are on top of the third floor here at Channel 3 News WKYC Studios, and you can see it is just empty. Normally the Muni lot would be packed, but you know what? We are still looking forward to tonight. And on this special edition of Front Row, we are taking you behind the scenes.
And that does include a look at how the Browns players are staying safe during the coronavirus pandemic. Lots of questions about this, too. Here's NBC's Kevin Tibbles.
The locker room of the Cleveland Browns, hallowed ground, changed perhaps forever.
You have 30, 35 guys in here, 25 guys in a room next door.
Joe Sheehan, the team's senior VP of Player Health and Development, takes us on an exclusive tour.
We really have a new normal, right? Our day-to-day process is unlike anything we've ever done in the past.
NFL facilities now ruled by a new set of protocols to reduce the risk of COVID-19. Everyone, players and staff, tested daily.
So I'm still looking for 2 people that need to be tested.
Dr. Alan Sills is the NFL's chief medical officer.
Over the first 5 weeks of our team activities, we've done over 250,000 COVID-19 tests on players, coaches, and staff of team personnel.
1, 2, 3, come get some! Boisterous game day bravado, now socially distanced.
You install floor-to-ceiling plexiglass. You space lockers out 6 feet apart. A room that once housed 90 now houses 40 with 40 in an overflow locker room. It's entirely different than anything our players have ever done.
Still, some 60 players have decided to opt out of playing this season due to the pandemic. Browns center and president of the Players Association, J.C. Tretter, says everyone wants to play safe.
We worked tirelessly this offseason of trying to find a way to open back up and open back up safely.
Cutting-edge technical changes, too. Locker rooms fitted with ultraviolet lights to further sanitize equipment.
Everyone in our building gets one of these devices.
New electronic Connexon Safe Zone tags, which flash red within 6 feet of someone else and record who you meet. So if someone tests positive,
we can find that person and all the close contacts to that person.
Immediately,
in real time.
And the helmets? All fitted with new plastic shields that act just like a cloth face mask.
The goal is to really limit the transmission of respiratory droplets while guys are on the field of play.
Even before kickoff, NFL teams are working together to tackle a common opponent, COVID.
We really realize it's a shared and collective responsibility to all make good decisions to give us the best chance to play football this fall.
And stay safe.
And stay safe.
Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Cleveland.
Well, there's a really good subplot to tonight's Browns-Bengals game. The two quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield for the Browns and Joe Burrow for the Cincinnati Bengals. Nick Camino joins us now for more on the Ohio quarterback derby. Nick, this is a great story.
It really is, Jay. And I think a lot of football fans know Joe Burrow's story. I mean, he's been so out there winning the Heisman Trophy and everything he's accomplished in his college career. But what they might not realize is how similar it is to Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield. Well, as we get ready for the Battle of Ohio, we take a closer look at the rivalry that could just be starting between these two young quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield versus Joe Burrow. The two are more similar than you might think. Both were college transfers. Both won the Heisman Trophy. Both have big-time personalities, and now both are starting quarterbacks for NFL teams here in Ohio. For Burrow, it was a long, winding path to Cincinnati, an Ohio native who played his high school football in Athens, and from Southeast Ohio, he made the short trip to Columbus where he had dreams of starting for the Ohio State Buckeyes. But Burrow sat, first behind J.T. Barrett. Then when it looked like he wouldn't beat out Dwayne Haskins, he headed to Baton Rouge to play for LSU, where he became the biggest star in college football. Burrow won the Heisman Trophy, and he followed that up with a national title victory over Clemson. Then in April, Burrow found out he was heading back to his home state.
The Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU.
And when week 1 rolled around, Burrow was the only rookie to start under center in the NFL. The day started well for Joe. He showed his mobility with a rushing touchdown.
Touchdown! What a skipper!
But after that, the Heisman winner looked more like a rookie.
The best quarterbacks treat every game the same. And so whether we're playing the only game on a Thursday night or we're playing at 1 o'clock on a Sunday in the rain, doesn't matter. That's my mindset.
Burrow looks like everything you want in a franchise quarterback. Mobile, confident, and not afraid of the challenge of turning around a struggling team. So tonight starts what could be a long battle for quarterback supremacy here in Ohio. Who will start the battle 1-0? We're about to find out. Well, I think if you talk to any Bengals fan, they feel pretty confident that they have found their franchise quarterback. If you ask a Browns fan right now, I think that question is still trying to be answered as we speak with Baker Mayfield. Nick Camino, 3 Sports. Sarah?
Good insight. Thanks, Nick. Next, the bruiser of a running back, Peyton Hillis, sits down with Jim Donovan, catching up with the former Madden cover boy after the break. We continue this special edition of Front Row tonight. I'm Sarah Shookman, joined by Jake Crawford and Tiffany Tarpley.
Well, think back to 2010. 10 years ago, the Browns acquire a fierce running back out of the University of Arkansas, and he quickly became a fan favorite.
Yeah, even gracing the cover of the Madden video game. We are talking about Peyton Hillis, and Jimmy had the chance to catch up with him earlier this week.
Well, it is great to catch up with former Browns running back Peyton Hillis, who joins us as the Browns get set to play in Thursday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. Peyton, you're a sight for sore eyes. I'll tell you, it's been a while. It's good to see you. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Honestly, you haven't really aged at all. You look the exact same to
me. So do you, man. You look like you could go out there and get us a 3rd and 6 on a run.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, after watching that game on Sunday, I feel like I probably could. Even though I tell you what, in my opinion, the running back core is there. I thought that it was just bad chemistry on the offensive side of the ball. I think we had a ton of playmakers. We made a lot of mistakes. Weren't in sync. But I have a lot of a big positive outlook for the offense in the future. I really do.
Yeah, well, we all hope that. It's certainly on paper, it looks like it's an offense that can be really good in a lot of different ways. Tell me this: there was a point where the Browns' offense really kind of got on a roll at that point in time. You were a big part of that. And didn't we have a big game against New England where you just kind of ran them right out of the stadium? And as I remember it, I mean, they waved the white flag at the end of the game and had to take Tom Brady out. You had such a big ball game.
That was one of those games that, it seemed like nothing could go wrong. We did everything right. And, it just seemed like everything we did, they couldn't stop. And to see the frustration in Tom Brady's eyes that day was really great. But one of the best things was I actually have a picture of it, of Coach Belichick coming to me after the game, and he was saying, "You're one hell of a running back." And he goes, I wish I had one like you on my team. And that meant a lot to me.
Tell me this. What was it like when the Browns fans voted you to be on the cover of Madden?
If I had one word to explain it, I'd say family.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't think I had a shot at all. And that's not because I didn't think the fans would vote for me. I thought that, maybe it's kind of a scam. Maybe they're going to make it look like a vote. But, when I talked to the guys at EA Sports, they said it wasn't even close with the voting. They said that Browns fans really, really did you a favor.
So you really felt the love of the Browns fans, and you've given it back because you really stay in touch with what the Browns are doing, game in and game out, right?
Well, the Browns sum me up as a person. I really started understanding that the years I was playing there. I love that they're old school. Everything about them is the epitome of who I am. And it's something about being a Brown that it just envelops your soul, that makes you, it makes you feel like you're accepted, that you're loved, that you have a family. It's like the best therapy session you could ever be in.
What a humble guy. Good to hear from you, Peyton. What the Browns need to do tonight to get into the win column. Jimmy and Mary Kay Cabot talk about that next, plus our predictions for tonight's game after this timeout.
Lamar Jackson.
The lights are on over First Energy Stadium for tonight's Thursday night football. The Browns and the Bengals, and we are less than a half hour away from kickoff.
And we know things did not go well for the team on Sunday. Of course, we do not want a repeat of that tonight.
No, we absolutely do not. Let's go inside the game now. What Browns fans need to know. Here's the voice of the Browns, our own Jim Donovan.
Well, here she is, Mary Kay Cabot, back with us, the outstanding Browns beat writer for Cleveland.com. Listen, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on this game, but if they don't win this game, I think they're in some hot water. I really do. And I know the Bengals are a better team than they were last year. But after all, that team that only won 2 games last year beat the Browns at the end of the season. I really think this is a very, very important game.
It really is an enormously important football game. You cannot start the season 0-2. It's another division game. They're coming off not just a loss, but a blowout loss. So they need to kind of get feeling good about themselves again. So I think it's tremendously important.
What about the quarterbacks? Let me lay this out to you. I feel it will be very, very difficult to dislike Joe Burrow. He's an Ohio kid. He's the All-American boy. And our guy can be kind of a bad boy at times.
Well, it is. It's going to be an incredible matchup to watch over the next how many ever years. I mean, Joe Burrow, I think he's great for the league. He's probably going to be great for the Bengals. I thought he had a pretty nice debut. And as you mentioned, he just is a great guy. He's fun to listen to. He's fun, to hear interviews about. And this is going to be a really interesting AFC North quarterback battle.
So, what is going on in Baker Mayfield's mind? Because he really needs just a safe, solid game.
Yes, that's very true. Now, of course, he ran up against a very, very good defense in the Baltimore Ravens, and that did not help matters at all. And the Bengals don't have as good of a defense, but according to one analytics site, they were third in the NFL in terms of covering receivers. So does that mean it's still going to be hard to get that Baker Mayfield to Odell Beckham Jr. connection going? They've got to get that thing on track, but it can't be in Baker's head either. I mean, he can't just be trying to force the ball to Odell. I mean, he's just got to kind of take what's there. And at some point throughout the game, Odell will probably get some catches if they don't try to force it.
It will be 6,000, Mary Kay and myself at First Energy Stadium for the Battle of Ohio. Thanks, Mary Kay.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you heard Jimmy and Mary Kay talk about just how important this game is for the Browns. Let's have a little fun to end Front Row tonight, our special edition. Time for our predictions, and I'll start us off here. I'm saying Browns 28, Bengals 12.
Wow.
And those 12 points are 4 Austin Seibert kicks.
Wow.
Just for a little Browns
there,
twist.
Sarah. You know what? I like it. Some confidence there. So I think it's going to be pretty close, right? 21-17 was my prediction, Browns. And you know what? I'm not an analyst here, so I think those were just the two numbers that came into my head first. But watch. I'm going to be right, Jay.
Hey,
Just
listen,
watch.
I would take a 1-0 victory if we could get it. So here's my nightmare, guys. I woke up once this week with a nightmare that the Browns lost 3-0 in overtime on an Austin Seibert game-winning kick. Why do I think that way? Well, it's 50 years of being a Browns fan, that's why. But what I really think is going to happen tonight is the offense gels and the Browns beat the Bengals by a touchdown to go to 1-1. That's my hope, guys. That's my hope.
Yeah, I'll take any of our predictions. I'll take any of them.
Yeah.
You know, we win.
Exactly, Tiffany. We have all grown up here in Northeast Ohio, the three of us, and we have all lived with this. We know the realities, but we come back every year hopeful. So here we are, and let's get it done, boys.
Can't keep a good fan base down.
Here we go.
That's all the time we have tonight. For Jimmy, Tiffany, and Jay, I'm Sarah. The Browns and Bengals kick off in about 20 minutes. Join Russ and I tonight at 11 for What's Next. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Thank you for spending the evening with 3 News. Watch us live wherever you are, on our website, on our apps, and on YouTube, Hulu, or Roku. It's 3 News, wherever, whenever.